In this video we're going to paint a demon sword or a demon blade, depending on how you prefer to call it. And I started off with Balthazar gold first, then Gehenna's gold, and lastly Yorick armor gold was applied for the golden areas, but the last colour was just to cover the very tips and edges, just to add that final highlight. Next, for the silver, I wanted to keep the silver nice and bright, so I started off with lead belcher, followed by iron breaker to pick out the highlights, and lastly for the uppermost areas to help to show how light would reflect, ruined fang steel was used. But I didn't apply any null oil because I wanted to keep the colour bright and vibrant, and I didn't want to dilute that brightness. For the blade on this miniature, there's actually two parts. You've got the external part of the blade, which would be the sharp area, and then obviously you've got the piece down the centre. But initially, the entire blade had 2 coats of Ulthuan grey, and it needs 2 coats because you want to make sure you got a good solid base coat. Next, I had a series of areas where I applied Khorax white, and then a finer area within the Khorax white where I painted it with white scar. And for this miniature it doesn't matter so much because of the position of the blade. However, if you had a blade which is a bit more out in the open, then wherever the highlight is on one side, on the opposite side you'd want it dark, and keep it vice versa like that. Now covering the entire area of the blade, I've used Ulthuan blue, which has been watered down, and depending on your preferences you might want to put a second coat on it, but the intent is that you want those areas where you applied the white to still be able to show through the blue, and the aim here is that those lighter areas are where light is reflecting off the blade, but you've applied them underneath the blue so they still have that blue tint to them even though they got lighter. Now for the centre of the blade where you've got the faces, I've used Carroburg crimson paint straight out of the pot right down the centre area, but avoiding the blades either side to give it this two-tone of colour. The next part for this is the fact that there's a tassel hanging off of the hilt, so I try and avoid adding too many colours to any miniature, because if you add too many colours it causes too much of a visual distraction. So I've started off with Cyberite green, and the reason why I've chosen to use green for this area is because there's green in the eyes, so I wanted to add something which is a little bit different but not too far away from other colours that have already been used. Next, with the side of my brush, I used Moot green just to pick out the uppermost areas, and then lastly I used Corellia green shade to cover the entire area for the green, and this will help to tone down the colours a little bit because I'm trying to add some darker areas to the miniature, as the fact is on the overall look of this miniature is very bright, so I want to try and use some colours to tone it down some. Remember to look at the finished miniature in the description. If you like the video, remember to subscribe, click the notification bell, and also share the video with your friends.